All right. I'm pretty sure we're live right now. Happy Halloween to all of you. We have a little bit of fun here at Decker for Halloween. We do get into it enough to dress up. So, um, I don't even know where to say. If you guys get a chance and can check out our Facebook page, we will post a lot of the pictures of throughout the different terminals of what everybody dressed up as today for Halloween. So if you get into that and want to have a little bit of fun, then awesome. Go check it out on our Facebook page. Now, until then, let's talk about some of the available jobs that we have here at Decker. Let's answer some questions, shall we? We go live every Tuesday at noon Central here on our YouTube channel to answer questions for you. We also go live on Mondays at 4 p.m. Central to answer questions on our Facebook page. So let me know that you're here. Say hello. Flatbed Trucker, hello, hello. Good to have you. I keep moving my arms. I don't know if it's loud on your end, but this suit jacket is quite loud. It's high quality. It's Yeah, Spirit Halloween, baby. Awesome. So I hope you guys are having a great day. You got your coffee cup. Do you like my coffee cup? I took it from my kids. Yep, that's what I do. So there's not coffee in it, but. All right. Let's answer some questions. Let's do it. I do want to kind of fill you in on some of the available positions that are new here at Decker. So we'll get into that as well. But before we dive into the new available positions, let's talk about the over-the-road refrigerated and our over-the-road flatbed. Now, the majority of the positions that we do have available are our OTR refrigerated and our OTR flatbed. Okay, so our refrigerated runs coast to coast. Or can run coast to coast. I maybe should be a little bit more specific there since we do have a couple of divisions. And of course, it depends on where you guys live on what's available out of every division. I should mention, as I go in and I talk about some of these positions, if you're wondering what we have available out of your neck of the woods, please put your zip code in the chat. Then I'll be able to answer questions, more specifically, like how much experience, if you have experience and can include the amount of experience you have, awesome. Then I can talk about what your rate of pay is, where your running lanes are, how often you can expect to be home, what kind of freight we're hauling. Those questions I can answer them. I can be more specific as long as I get a little bit of information from you. I do have to mention, I had a message the other day asking somebody asking about our positions, our equipment, and all of that good stuff. They wanted to know quite a bit of information about what the rate of pay was, and they wanted it to be out there for everybody to see. Well, the thing is there's a lot of scenarios, a lot of things that go into account when it comes to your rate of pay and what division you'll be running and what your home time is. If you're running in our over-the-road refrigerated, then your rate of pay per mile and the expected miles that you're getting are going to be different than if you're running in our over-the-road flatbed division or maybe even our home weekly flatbed division. So if you can provide me more information, then I can definitely provide you with more information. And that way you're not feeling like you're getting half of the details, right? And as always, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to our recruiting department. They're phenomenal and they'll be able to answer a lot of your questions. So Flatbed Trucker says 9 years OTR, 2.5 flatbed. That is fantastic. So with where you're at, I'm not seeing anything currently available out of your area, but give me a sec. I'm going to pull it up on my Google Maps and see where exactly that is. And then maybe I can be more specific. How's that? Nope, it doesn't like that. Okay, but with 9 years of experience, I can give you an idea of what the pay would be if we can, in fact, hire out of there. It doesn't look like we can. Mount Vernon, Indiana. Well, that sounds like somewhere we can. So let's figure out what's wrong with this. Okay, give me a sec. Mount Vernon. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. So you're really close to Evansville. Evansville gonna be is basically my lowest, like the southern part of a guaranteed minimum pay of $14.50 a week. So we can do that. Let's see how far. You're just right there. Just right there. So looking at my map, your zip code wasn't necessarily pulling up, but looking at my map, you're right there. And we would be able to get you home about on a weekly basis for the $14.50 a week. So that looks like an area we can do. I'm checking one other thing on my maps to just confirm that that Evansville area is still in our hiring area. I just want to be accurate, right? Evansville. Yeah. Okay, so we're good. You were just right there on the border, so you're sneaking in. But yes, we can do that. We can get you home on a weekly basis. Let's talk about some of the available pay then, okay? We've got the $14.50 for the minimum pay. So $14.50 is what you can expect on a weekly basis, $1,450. And your rate of pay per mile is going to be based off of your experience level. So you said you have 9 years of experience, 2 years of flatbed, which is fantastic. You'd start at 67 cents a mile for us in the flatbed division. You'd get a penny raise after 90 days, and then you'd get a penny raise annually until you hit our cap, which right now our cap is 70 cents a mile. But yes, flatbed trucker, you are right there on the edge of our $14.50 guaranteed minimum pay. Now we have over the road. That one, by the way, is a home weekly position. If that's what you're looking for, then we'd probably be a solid fit for you. That's a home weekly position. Now we do have some more over the road positions, and I'm pulling that map up to kind of give myself a same hiring area. So you'll just eke right in there, and you can also run OTR if that's what you're looking for. If you want to run, now our over the road for our flatbed division is mostly east of Denver, so Denver east for the most part. A lot of the Midwest, a lot of the Southeast, Kentucky, and up into Pennsylvania, and then over to Tennessee is really busy for us. Atlanta, Georgia, or at least pretty much all of Georgia, mostly west of 95 in Georgia and the Carolinas. But yes, we can get you home on a weekly basis, or you can be part of the over the road, which would put you out about 2 weeks at a time. Getting you home about every other weekend in that position. So, yeah, there you go. Katie says, Happy Halloween. Halloween. Oh, I love it. Okay, so, yeah, we can be able to help you for sure. We do a lot of steel beams, coils in our flatbed division. There is tarping and securing, by the way. Steel beams, coils, sheetrock, or wallboard. We do quite a bit of that. A lot of building supplies. We don't do a lot of step deck, or really any step deck, or really any heavy haul. So that's a question I get often, but we don't do a whole lot of either one of those. But yes, for flatbed, we do have flatbed positions, a lot of building supplies. The number here that keeps popping up, that 877 number, 433-2537, that is for our recruiters, and you can get a hold of them whether you're looking for refrigerated or flatbed. You can also get a hold of them from some of the new opportunities that we have. Those are hopper positions out of Fort Dodge, Iowa, and I'll be talking about more specifics on those, like what the time is, how much home time you can expect, all that good stuff. So what about oversize? We don't do a lot of oversize. Yeah, not much oversize at all. Nick says, coming to orientation on the 13th. Awesome, exciting. So Nick, if you haven't already, you'll be receiving an online orientation. So a link actually is what it is. You'll be receiving a link to the online orientation. That's what you guys would be receiving once you're approved for orientation. That would be the next step. getting your physical and your drug test, and then the online orientation. You want to complete those before you even get to Fort Dodge to do the in-person orientation. Okay, let's say that you have a recent physical. It's good for another year, and you don't want to do another physical. You're like, can't I just use this one? You know what? Probably. As long as you send over the long form over to your recruiter, then they can get that approved. So it needs to be good for at least another 6 months. It needs to be good for, a year total, but another 6 months at least. And that way we don't have to worry about getting you rescheduled within the first 6 months that you're here. That's the nice part. So we can either set up a physical for you before you get here, or we can just use your current physical if that one is approved. You just communicate with your recruiter and they'll get that arranged for you. Now, we do require, obviously, because it's DOT required, that you complete your urinalysis before coming to Fort Dodge for orientation. So obviously we'll need a new urinalysis to start, and we'll schedule that. Ideally, we'll schedule that at the same time as your physical. But if you don't need a physical, then we'll just get your urinalysis scheduled for you. And then the online orientation, we provide you a link and login information. You click on the link, and then you go through the series of videos followed by a couple of questions. So you'll have some videos going over the company history, kind of giving you a little background about what Decker's all about, how long we've been in business, what the goals are, so not just history, but kind of like where we're moving, and the stability of Decker. How, like I said, it's over 90 years that we've been in business, and it's a family-owned business. Okay, so then we'll also go over a lot of company policies and procedures, and of course some DOT information as well, to make sure that you are on track with the current DOT regulations also. Okay, so you'll go through that. It's basically a couple of videos followed by questions, and then so on and so forth as you go through the different modules. Once you've completed that, it kicks back to the recruiter, and you'll have your transportation set up by then. Usually we do a rental car. Sometimes we'll do a flight, depending on where you're coming from and what's going to be more convenient for you. But we'll take care of that. And then when you get to Fort Dodge for orientation, which, by the way, it starts on Mondays, so you'll probably arrive usually on a Sunday. And then we'll put you up in a hotel. We don't shack you up with anybody. They're single rooms, but we'll put you up in a hotel. We'll take care of your hotel and your meals while you're here. Like I said, we took care of your transportation to get here. And then we also pay you $500 for completing orientation. If you are an experienced driver, it's a 3-day orientation. Yeah, $500 for a 3-day orientation. If you are a recent graduate, it's $500 for a week-long orientation. Now, I do want to say I can give you quite a bit of information for student drivers and what that process is. But I want to give you a heads up that right now we do have a waiting list for student drivers. And the reason being is, we only have a limited number of trainers. So what we do with training is you have a week-long orientation for a student, a recent graduate. So a week-long orientation followed by 2 to 3 weeks with a trainer before you go on, before you start hauling solo as a solo driver. So yeah, we need to make sure that we have an available trainer in order to get you to that next step. And off the top of my head, I don't know how long out we are, but I'm pretty sure it's about a month out for scheduling recent graduates. So keep that in mind if you're looking to get started at December or whatever. You want to make sure that you get your application in right away if you're a student, because there's going to be some limitations on there. Now, as an experienced driver, obviously we pay you that $500 for completing orientation. It's just a 3-day orientation. You don't have the wait or the downtime that you're waiting because of the because of the trainer need. You won't have to go out with a trainer if you're an experienced driver. And when I'm saying experience, I'm talking 6 months minimum and in some cases we'll be requiring more, but a minimum of 6 months of experience. Okay. Then where was I going with that? Oh, as an experienced driver, you also qualify for a $2,000 sign-on bonus, which pays out $500 on first dispatch, your first dispatch, and then you'll get another $500 at 60, 90, and 180 days. So there's the 4 increments basically of the sign-on bonus. And again, the experienced drivers are who qualify for that sign-on bonus. Excellent. All right. So Nick, 13th, looks awesome. Looking forward to having you come aboard. Orientation basically consists of the pre-orientation, like I mentioned, the physical drug test and the online orientation. When you arrive in Fort Dodge, we will do the hair follicle, so that's part of it. You'll do the hair follicle. You'll also do some of the additional company policies and procedures, running through some DOT regulations there. Some of the processes on like getting fuel solutions. Janelle will come in and speak to you about that, and so that she can kind of teach you the process here at Decker and what that looks like. You'll hear from the safety department. You'll hear from Katie in the communications. By the way, give a shout out to Katie. She is behind the scenes in the chat. If you're looking at the Decker Truckline comments, that's Katie. And Katie, you should probably post a picture of what you look like today. If you miss it, you can actually get it on our Facebook page here in a little bit. So, yeah, she's rocking out with the guitar. I was gonna say, all right, Bill and Ted. I was gonna say Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure, but no. My goodness. Okay. Anyways, orientation starts on Mondays, and for experienced drivers, it's 3. For students, it's a week-long orientation. Yeah, she says after the video, go and find us on Facebook. Yeah, there are a lot of pictures, and I want to know who's your favorite, by the way, when you go to do it, because I have quite a few favorites. I do have to admit, but I love the one. Well, I'll let you see it. Anyways, okay. What else can I answer for you? We talked a little bit about orientation and what that process is looking like. You'll meet with the maintenance department as well during orientation, and they'll do a walkthrough with you and with the truck, so that you can kind of go through that checklist of what's in the truck, how to do the inspections and what to look for if you're having any troubleshooting issues. And the reason I say that is this time of the year, bunk heaters and APU units. Those are 2 videos that we get a lot of traffic on this time of year. People are always looking how to, whether you're with Decker or not, people are always looking to try and troubleshoot their bunk heater. So here's just a timeout. Here's a couple of go-to tricks. There's a small filter in with the bunk heater. Go check the filter and make sure that's not plugged. If it's plugged, which it can get plugged easily because it is such a small filter, then you're not going to be getting any warm air. There's not going to be anything circulating. With the APU, there's also a filter for the APU unit as well. I know there are different types of APU units out there. For bunk heaters, we have Webasto, and we have what's the other one we have? Let me think. I'm trying to think. Bunk heater. Anyways, we've got, this is going to drive me nuts. What's the other one? I'm sure I have this somewhere. The bunk heater. S-bar. That's what it is. Boom. S-bar. Yep, I have notes. I couldn't remember for the life of me. But most of them are S-bar anymore. They used to be Webasto, but I think when we upgraded, we switched over. Speaking of upgrades, we keep our equipment on a regular rotation. Our maintenance department does a phenomenal job of supporting you and helping you to maintain the trucks. The communication between you and the maintenance department, or you and your dispatcher along with the maintenance department, is crucial in keeping on track of any any updates or maintenance issues that you might have, so that you don't have them out on the road. But APU being one of them, those are the things that we see quite a bit. And they can be finicky. I gotta admit, they can be finicky. Sometimes you gotta turn the knob all the way, crank it all the way up, turn it all the way off, and then, or actually it's the other way around. Turn it off, crank it all the way up, and then turn it back down and to the temperature that you want. It's finicky, but it works. Those little troubleshooting hacks, and thankfully our shop took the time to kind of give you some visuals so that you can take care of those out on the road if you need to. Otherwise, we've got our maintenance support. It's 24/7. They do a phenomenal job of taking care of you. So, positive on all accounts. Okay, what else can I tell you about the over-the-road, the orientation? Once you've completed orientation, you'll get into your truck and then you can start running solo. Our team positions are currently full, but we do have several solo opportunities. We have the over-the-road refrigerated, we have the regional refrigerated, we have our over-the-road flatbed, and we have regional flatbed. Again, if you're looking at a specific area, throw that zip code in the chat and I won't be so vague in my response. We also have a dedicated flatbed position out of Nashville, Arkansas. The Nashville, Arkansas position does pay per mile. It requires a minimum of 1 year of flatbed tractor trailer experience. Where most of our positions require a minimum of 6 months of experience, this one's going to be a full year of tractor trailer flatbed specific experience. And the position is home weekly. It's dedicated in the fact that it runs out of the Nashville, Arkansas plant, and you're going into Monroe, Louisiana, and Shreveport, Louisiana, into Houston, into Dallas, Fort Worth area, quite a bit actually into the Dallas, Fort Worth area, and then back to Nashville, Arkansas. So that is about a week, every week for home time. It pays based on your experience level, so anywhere from 50, I think it's 58 or 57 to 70 cents a mile, again based on your experience level. Yes, we have the sign-on bonus available to our experienced drivers on that position. And you get a penny raise after 90 days, get a penny raise every year on your anniversary till you hit the cap there. And you have bonus opportunities. So our bonus opportunity, if you watched last week, you saw that we had an extra 5 cents a mile in bonus opportunity. Now that is earned, obviously. It's our scorecard bonus, which is a combination of making sure you don't have any CSA points, any preventable accidents, your fuel compliance, your idle time, your miles, your on-time delivery, any driver service claims. Those are all the criteria for the scorecard. That's going to count for 4 cents of the 5 cents that I mentioned. But then we also have the safety bonus, which is going to account for another penny per mile on all the miles that you completed for that month. So basically can get you an extra 5 cents a mile on all the miles for the previous month based off of your scorecard and your safety bonus. And then we have driver of the month also, which is kind of based off of that. And so it's how you do on your scorecard and your safety bonus will or can put you in the running for the driver of the month. Driver of the month puts you in the running for driver of the year, which is a $3,000 prize. So you go from a $100 Walmart gift card and a $50 gift card to the Decker store to a $3,000 prize. And the driver of the year, those place you in the running for the Grand Champion. Grand Champion is a $15,000 prize, so totally worth it. A huge reward and we do a big shebang for it as well. So you can join us with that. So that is part of the stepping stones, I should say, in addition to the rate of pay per mile. Now we have a guaranteed minimum. So this is a minimum pay that you are provided. Obviously, the criteria, I should say, are making sure you're available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week, no load refusals, no driver service failures, no late loads, no CSA points for the week, no preventable accidents for the week, and get your paperwork in on time. Cutoff is Tuesday night at midnight. So make sure your paperwork is on time in order to qualify, along with the other 5 criteria in order to qualify for the minimum pay. And like I said, that is a safety net. That's not maximum pay. Do not get those confused. Minimum pay helps you to budget. So you know, oh, I'm not going to make less than that as long as I am available for dispatch, don't refuse any loads, get my paperwork in on time, have on-time delivery. No, and when I say on-time delivery, I'm talking within your powers. So you're available for dispatch, you're managing your time well, you're getting there on time. If the customer, the shipper receiver, is the reason that that load isn't delivered on time and it's not you, then that's a totally different story. You know, if you have poor time management or something like that, you know, weather related as well, those are things that can still qualify you for on-time delivery. That's why we have the minimum pay. And that being said, if your rate of pay per mile and the miles that you ran exceed that minimum, and the minimum pay is going to be different from one division to the next. So if that exceeds the minimum pay, then you're going to get the better of the two. So it's a win-win. Night Stalker Trucking says, I start on the 6th. Well, fantastic. We have Nick starting on the 13th and Night Stalker starting on the 6th. I got to admit, your name is completely appropriate for the holiday today. Happy Halloween. Creepy, but happy Halloween. What else can I tell you? We have, over the road, we have some of the regional positions. I mentioned earlier with Flatbed Truckers was asking about what we have available in the flatbed division out of the Vernon, Indiana area. So Evansville is about as far south as we will hire for this specific position, but it guarantees you $14.50 a week, and your rate of pay per mile is going to be based on your experience. Miles are not in this position. You're looking, 1,800, 2,000 miles a week for that home weekly position in the flatbed, but you're guaranteed at least $14.50 a week. So if it depends, of course, on your rate of pay per mile, which one's going to exceed. But say you have, you're making 70 cents a mile, and if you're only getting about 2,000 miles, you're still making. You can rest assured that you're still going to make at least $14.50 per week for that division. So that's a great opportunity if you live anywhere from St. Louis, Missouri, over to Columbus, Ohio, up north to Toledo, back over to Chicago and up to Milwaukee, and then back down to like Mason City or Fort Dodge, Iowa City, all of that. So Night Stalker says he's in Billings, a Montanan. I'm in Montana, so Night Army unit. Okay, that doesn't sound so bad. I should know, right? But I didn't. Out of Montana, though, if I have a secured lot, can I take my truck home? Missoula is a bit of a drive for home time. You know what? You are right. It is a long ways. As of right now, and this could change. It could, because in the past, it's been several years, but in the past, we did allow drivers to bring their truck home to Billings on their home time. Several of them made arrangements at the Laurel stop. But recently, for the last couple of years, we do require that you bring the tractor and trailer back to Missoula on your home time. So that is a great question. As of right now, you do need to leave the tractor and trailer in Missoula on your home time. That said, if you're delivering a load or passing through, that's a different story. We don't have a lot of freight in Billings. Most of the freight is, you're driving through Billings, yes, but it's not really in the Billings area. So that's why we're able to hire out of there, but not, but again, the requirement is leaving the tractor and trailer in Missoula. I do want to clear that up for a lot of you guys as well. Montana is currently the only area that we do require you bring the tractor and trailer to the terminal versus Iowa or Bessemer or Alabama or any of those other areas, if we hire out of your area, we do allow you to bring the tractor trailer home. But we are hiring based off of the freight itself and where you're picking up and delivering. And so if you're too far from the freight, then we won't hire you because it just wouldn't financially make sense in the logistics of it all. Same with if you're in a fantastic area, which very likely could happen. If you're in a fantastic area, but I have a number of drivers out of that area as well, then that might be another scenario that we don't offer any current positions. It's really important to us to make sure that we are taking care of our professional drivers that are here at Decker first and foremost. They do a phenomenal job. They've put us in the best fleets to drive for the last several years. They've earned us multiple awards, from anything from our customer awards, which I'd love to announce. I'm not sure if I can call out their names, but we have multiple awards that our drivers have earned for us as a company. And it's our job to take care of them. And that is something that the Decker family has just put on there as a top priority, since they began. They were the drivers initially, right? So anyways, what I'm getting at is we need to take care of our professional drivers first and foremost here at Decker before we look at those who we're considering to hire on. Now, if you're in an area that I have a number of drivers from, even though it's fantastic freight, if the number of drivers that I have out of there and the amount of freight I have out of there don't work, like if it's not an even distribution, then we wouldn't be able to hire more drivers out of that location. If there is room for growth in that area, then we obviously would, and that way we're not affecting somebody's home time or miles or anything like that. Super important. Night Stalker says, oops, sorry, Bill, or Bart, that came up. Night Stalker says, good to know, I'll make it work. Okay, yeah, I know, I definitely hear you on that. It is not an easy task, and that's probably, I'm sure your recruiter was pretty upfront about it, because that's the only, hopefully they knew that, but that's probably the only area I can think. To me, that's the hardest one. I've had people in Lewistown, Montana asking, and I'm like, oh, that one's even harder because you're going through multiple passes. And, well, not that you aren't coming from Billings too, but it's, it's not interstate. So, yeah. He was just curious if it will change. What is your leasing? So it could change, but it hasn't in the last, I want to say 3 years. But sometimes time flies and I kind of lose track of how long that rule has been put in place. I've been here since 2010, so I have to remind myself, wait a minute, that's old news. What's our lease? Well, we do have a lease available after you've been here for 6 months. That is something that you have to earn, though. So it's not like, oh, you can go straight into the lease purchase after 6 months, no problem. It is something that you earn. And I say that pretty proudly because it's, how a lot of companies, they'll just, they want you to pay for the truck. That's what I see. And so they'll push you into the lease purchase. We are not that way. We want to make sure that you're going to succeed. And the lease purchase program is something that we're pretty protective of, because it isn't made for everybody. So if you have, you're in the Army, so I figure that you're pretty disciplined. But as long as you've got a business mindset and you are disciplined about running your truck as a business, then you'll see success. And in that matter, you'll see the scorecard and the safety bonus, and that'll really place you for the lease purchase. So it's $0 down currently. Currently it is a $0 down. We kind of went back and forth a few times on this. That is a $0 down lease purchase. It pays 72% of the load plus the fuel surcharge. So you'll get 100% of the fuel surcharge on any dry loads or whatever. If it's a refrigerated load, we pay for the reefer fuel. So 10% of the surcharge will go to the reefer fuel. The rest of it will all go to you. Of course, you have expenses like your fuel expense. Obviously, that's why you have a surcharge. You have insurance. You have, what am I missing? Tolls, scales. Toll scales run about $200 a month. Depends on where you're running. You know, some month you might have, $50. Others, it might be $300. But on average, it's pretty consistent at around the 200 mark. But those are some expenses that you'd see. We shoot for about $5,500 for the gross revenue per truck when it comes to lease purchase. And we are definitely looking at the gross revenue versus miles when it comes to lease purchase. Whereas a company driver, that is, our focus is more on, for the driver, we're looking to get you miles, keeping you busy. And it's not like miles are our main focus, because they're not. It is, it's the overall. But we're less likely to focus on miles as for the owner operator as we would for the company driver, because the owner operator or lease purchase is getting paid on the gross revenue. So we are looking more at that than we would be, obviously for a company driver. But $5,500 is what we're looking at for the baseline per week for the gross revenue. And I would say it's roughly about half of that is what you would see for take home once you're looking at taxes and expenses and all of that. So that's about right. Yep. I did the whole lease thing at Prime. Too much stress. It can be stressful. Yes, I do have to admit though, if you get a chance to talk to some of our lease guys, it isn't for everybody. Please hear me out there. It isn't for everybody, but we've seen some awesome success stories where it's lease purchase. So once you lease, we have 2-year leases, we have 4-year leases, you can transition into purchasing the truck, so it's yours. It's, you get to claim that. And we've had several, especially this year, that we've been able to highlight. And maybe we've just highlighted more this year on our social media, but you can check that out as well for some of our success stories for the lease purchase. But, and then once they own it, you can obviously lease the truck on to Decker as an owner operator versus lease purchase. But yeah, love to see the success stories. They're great ones. It isn't, if you haven't done it before, right now with the rates that they are, it's not something that I would suggest starting. 6 months could be a whole different story, because I can tell you, like at the beginning of the year, 6 months, last June, not this last June, but a year ago, June, it was fantastic. I mean, get into that lease purchase program. We had people going in it left and right, because they're like, yeah, let's, the money is being thrown at you. That's what they felt. So it was definitely worth them. And Vitally, hey, how are you? Night Stalker says, does Decker haul to Canada? We don't. We can haul up to the border. I know, like into Shelby every once in a while. We'll haul something up into the Shelby, at least in Montana area. But no, we don't. I don't know if we used to. When I first started, I remember hearing we did, but I don't know of anybody that has hauled up into Canada for us. Nick says, I forgot to ask my recruiter, but is the majority of your freight contract? Yes. And I'd love to answer that question, Nick, because to me, that is another thing that puts Decker above the rest. So reefer side, it is like 97% contracted, I believe. Flatbed isn't as high, but it's still in the 90s. So it's closer to 94% contracted. So we have that. We also have a logistics company. So we've got Decker Truck Line. Then we also have Decker Logistics, who we work with. And they will, if you're in an area that we don't have contracted freight, or we have contracted freight, but maybe a load switched or a load canceled because of some reason, trucking, then we also have a logistics company who we can work with and make sure that we're keeping you moving so that you're not sitting idle. But yes, Nick, we are contracted, which is one of the biggest selling points or one of the biggest perks for our lease purchase and our owner operators. When it comes to lease purchase and owner operators, we do run you as like as a company driver, in the fact that you've got a driver manager, or you've got a driver manager, we're planning it for you. That's what I mean. Again, we're looking more at your gross revenue than we would be your miles as a company driver, but you're not having to take on that stress. It's not a load board where you have to go through and check it. You're working with a DM, someone who's going to get to know your running habits and what your home time looks like, and working with the planners to get you the loads that we have, or to make sure that we can get those available to you. So yes, good to know, nice to know. Okay, good, solid. And you're starting what, the 13th? Got a couple weeks to prep, ready to rock. Okay. But yeah, Nick, that'll keep you busy. So Nick, where are you located at? Night Stalkers in Billings. Where are you located out of? That'll kind of give you an idea. I can kind of fill you in on some of those running lanes a little bit as well. Well, we have been, like I said, we've been in business for over 90 years. Some of the customers that we started with are still with us. So there's a number that have been with us for quite some time. Yeah. Detroit area, doing reefer. Okay. Yes. So you'd be running a lot within the Midwest. You've got the option to run coast to coast, or you can stay more like east of Denver. You can do that as well. We don't do a whole lot up into the New England states or New York. We really, really don't. There is it ice cream? I think there's an ice cream load that comes from Lamar's up to just south of Buffalo. Where is that location? But it's just in that corner there, in that southwest corner of New York. So we've got loads there. We've got ice cream loads that go into Maryland, Laurel, Maryland. But for the most part, most of the freight is going to be in the Midwest. You'll see Iowa and Illinois and Indiana. You'll see Kansas City is a really busy area for us. Minneapolis, another very busy area. Iowa is packed. I mean, you throw a dart and you probably got several options out of that location. Dallas, Texas is quite busy. Amarillo, Texas, another good area. Guyman, Oklahoma. Those are all good areas and part of the running lanes that you'd probably see, Nick. We also run into areas of the southeast, so Bessemer, Alabama. We have a terminal in Bessemer. It's our flatbed terminal, but we still have some refrigerated freight in and around the area. And then we also have Atlanta, Georgia, some down as far as Savannah, but most of it's around Atlanta area. Nick says, but I can run west if I want. Yes, you can. If you're open to all 48 states, it's probably better for you because you can get some longer lengths of haul. Washington, like the state of Washington, is really good for us around Seattle, I-5, down into Olympia, the Portland area, over to like the northern part of Oregon, around Hermiston, Pendleton area. And then we go down into California along I-5. We're as far as freight wise, we'll go into there, Vegas, Reno, sometimes into Arizona, or through at least. And Salt Lake City is very busy for us as well. So Salt Lake, really up I-15, up into Idaho, is pretty busy for us. So yes, you can run out west. Denver area is going to be fantastic up towards Cheyenne. Sometimes we run the 80, which this time of year isn't always the best of weather, but we've got other options as well when it comes to if 80 is bad, which it is, we learn. I don't know about right now, excuse me, but every once in a while it is bad, and so we look for an alternative for running too. We can do that. So speaking of west, we require that you know how to chain We don't require that you chain. You need to know how, and of course, you need to carry the chains as if you're running any of the mountain states, Montana, Colorado, etc. So you need to know, you need to make sure that your chains are in good order. Lay those suckers out, make sure, knock off the rust, the dust, and make sure they're in good order. And that's easy to get kind of a rust on them. So that's why you want to get them out and move them around so that when you do need them, they're not frozen or welded together, right? Because chains, they're constantly rubbing on each other, and they can be even more difficult to use. So you want to make sure that you're taking them out of the side box when you can and knocking them around a bit so that they're gonna you'll be able to use them when you need them. Use them to get out of trouble. Don't use them to get into trouble, right? Yes, Nick says, I've always felt comfortable in the snow out west. Cool. There we go. We have plenty. Well, I have plenty. I don't know if Night Stalker in Billings has plenty, but here in Central, we've got, I don't know. We've got a few inches right now, but we had an easy 6 over the weekend. So hunting was, big old muck boots and big giant steps to get to where we were hunting. We're really quiet. 80 this time. Oops, hang on. 80 this time of year is a crapshoot. Yeah. Very well said. Yeah, you're right. You are right. I see those posts all the time or replays from last year or the year before, 3 years ago, where pile up after pile up on 80. It's dangerous. Know your weight, know your limitations. And if the wind is brutal, sometimes you either need to find an alternative route. So you call into your DM, you call into fuel, and you get it, or you got to park it for a while. It is what it is. Safety has to come first, you guys. You've got someone to come home to, right? They want to make sure that you're coming home. All right. Let's see. Flatbed Trucker says, do you get paid if you get stuck in a snowstorm? Yes and no. I mean, yes, but I'm going to explain so that it's not confusing. Okay, here's an example. We had a couple examples, actually. I remember in December one year and February, immediately after. That year was horrible. Was that in 2020? Or was that 2020 and 2021? Or was that in 19 and 20? I can't remember. But we had just implemented the minimum pay, that guaranteed pay. So we had just implemented that. So I can't remember what year it was, but it was like a 6-state massive watch or warning, whatever's the worst. What's worse, watch? But anyways, weather issues is red, bright red, like do not move, breathe, whatever. Horrible winds, just brutal. And it was around the 29th of December. And we had to, as a company, our management said, you know what? We're not going to risk it. We need to make sure that our drivers are safe first. Like that was the conversation. And so they said, they know that, as a professional driver, you get paid mileage pay. So this wasn't news that necessarily our drivers were excited to get, but we had to prioritize safety for them. So management gets on the horn. They message all of the trucks to shut down, stay parked. There was massive storms. I mean, brutal wind, not like nonstop 80 wind, in Wyoming. You know how that's horrible. And then there's all those wrecks. We did not want to see that throughout the whole Midwest. And so we shut that down. Because of our minimum pay and the qualifications for that, then yes, they got paid for being stuck in a snowstorm. But at the same time, it's not like we have the verbiage that says, if you get stuck in a snowstorm, you get this much money. It's not that. It's you're qualifying for your minimum pay. Because technically, you're available for dispatch, right? You're still available for dispatch. You might even be under dispatch. As long as you're available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week, no load refusals, no driver service failures, no late loads, no preventable accidents for the week, no CSA violations for the week, and the easiest one, but sometimes the one most forgotten, is get your paperwork in on time. That's the 6 criteria for that guaranteed minimum. So flatbed trucker, to answer your question, yes and no. It's not because of the snowstorm, but it's because you are qualified for the minimum pay. So that said, that minimum pay, weather does become a factor for that, or does, it's not factor, how do you want to say that? That weather does play a role in that, and you'd still be able to earn it. Maintenance, breakdown, detention, layover, you get paid in addition to that, or you get paid that as well. So if you've met the minimum pay with your miles, and then you're earning detention, layover, mechanical breakdown, all of that, then that is going to total more than that minimum pay then, right? So you're going to get the better of the two. So it depends on how that factors in. But yeah, does that make sense? So if your miles and your rate of pay per mile were equivalent to the $1,000, say it's our over-the-road refrigerated, so it's equivalent to the $1,000 that you would have made as the minimum pay, and you get the snowstorm, and say it's, I don't know, say it's Saturday night, okay, and then you're shut down for Sunday and Monday and Tuesday or whatever, but you've already made the miles and the rate of pay for that 1,000, then you wouldn't get additional pay for that week because you're sitting in the snowstorm. You've earned that minimum already, so that's where it's at. Now, if you earned $500 and and that's what you got for the miles, and you're sitting there, then we're going to make up the difference in that. I hope that makes sense, because I might have just. Hopefully that makes sense, because it does on paper if it's explained well. So I'm just saying, did I explain it well enough? Night Stalker says we got about 6 to 12 this past week. Yeah, it was crazy, and it was so wet. Like every time I would shovel, I felt like I needed a bucket because it was so much water to every shovel. Yeah, we needed it. We can't complain. Flatbed Trucker says, I got stuck in Wyoming for a week. Yeah, that honestly doesn't surprise me. It sucks, and I will not deny that by any means, but it doesn't surprise me. But keep in mind, that's where that minimum pay kicks in. So you have that safety net with us, whether it's refrigerator or flatbed, or we've got those options. Those are great questions, by the way. Hopefully my answers were straightforward enough that you can understand them. All right. Before I let you leave today, there are a couple of positions that I haven't mentioned yet that have just opened up. And if you watched yesterday's live on Facebook, I did address them. But just to be on the safe side, I want to make sure that you are well aware. I had to double check on the rate of pay on a couple of them to make sure that I was giving you accurate information and not making assumptions. But in this case, my assumption was right, so I'm going to give myself credit for that. So, okay, these are hopper positions, and you must live within a 25-mile radius of Fort Dodge in order to qualify for these hopper positions, okay? So the difference between the ones that I'm listing are the days on and the days off. And of course the starting times. But so let's elaborate a little more. If it's the 8 a.m. start or the 6:30 a.m. start, you're going to get paid $2.25 per shift Monday through Friday. If you run on a Saturday or Sunday and you're starting at 8 a.m. or 6:30 a.m., then you'll get paid $2.50 per shift. That's roughly about an 8-hour shift. If you are running the 5 p.m. shift or the 6:30 p.m. shift, then you will be paid $250 for the Monday through Friday shift and $275 if you're running on a Saturday or Sunday. Okay, so now here's the other thing that I'm going to throw at you. You can do an 11 and 3, so 11 days off, 3 days home, on both our 8 a.m. and our 6:30 p.m. shift. Okay, 8 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. We offer 11 days on, 3 days off. In our 6:30 a.m. and our 5 p.m. shifts, it is 2 days on, followed by 2 days off, 3 days on, followed by 3 days off, and then back to 2 on, 2 off, 3 on, 3 off, and so forth. So there's that rotation. So those are new opportunities. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, 877-433-2537. There we go. Yes, I can. You bet. Oh, that wasn't on there. That was answering in the, in the chat. All right. Yes, absolutely. So if you have questions, if you want more details, then please reach out to our recruiting department at 877-433-2537, and then you can speak to him. Mr. Clay Reynolds, how the heck are you? I'm looking forward to it. Good. Yeah, so check out, I'll leave you with this. You guys, if you have any questions, I think, Clay, which one are you taking? Because you said you're switching over, right? So Clay currently is driving for us. We do take on, when we have local positions like this or dedicated positions, we like to offer them to our current drivers first. However, I do have to admit, there are times that if we don't know that you are looking for a local or looking for a regional position, when we have these dedicateds come up, sometimes they aren't announced in-house, but only to those who have shared an interest. So if you have an interest and you're current with Decker, then reach out to our recruiting department or your driver manager ASAP so that we can get you in line for it. 877-433-2537. So Clay says he's starting at that 8 a.m. Boom. Good deal. Good deal. So that is the 8 a.m. Yep. And then, but I think there's one more in addition to it, sounds like. In addition to the one that you have. Yeah. Brandon had opened up a few, so gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right, Katie says, have a safe rest of your week. Happy Halloween. Go over to our Facebook page. Follow us, by the way, because if you have questions and want to join on our lives on Monday at 4 p.m., you sure can. But you can always be here at noon Central on Tuesdays when we do our Q&As as well. All right, you guys. I was long-winded today. Thanks for bearing with me. Happy Halloween. I hope you guys have an awesome one. Vitalis Vilkas. Awesome, awesome. Clay says, I like the cow costume. My son has the cow costume, and it is hilarious. Yes, he's wearing that tonight. This is also his cup that I stole. Have an awesome rest of your guys' day. Please be safe, all right? Take care. Thank you so much for joining.